I'm not ready to start. Okay. Hey, if we could all grab a seat, please. There are training handbooks on the stool back there. If you would grab one. If you're a couple and would be able to share, that'd be fantastical. Yes, sir. Good? All right, we're live. So we are recording and streaming this right now. So if you are at home watching, great. If you are missing this training, then we will have this recorded forever. So all right, if you would pray with me first, and then we'll jump right in. Father, thank you so much for giving us a place that we can take ownership of. God, obviously under the head of Jesus Christ. But God, you've made us stewards of this place. And God, there are areas we need to work on and things that we need to definitely improve, and we desire to do that, and we desire to do it for your gospel and for the sake of your kingdom. So just ask you to guide this time. Help us to understand the importance of how we engage people, and just guide the time that we have together and help it to be profitable for all of us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, so if you have a handbook in front of you, we're going to call this team our First Impressions / Guest Services team, because it's multifaceted, and actually this morning I was thinking of a couple things that I should have added in here. This is not of it that get expanded separately. So if you would flip inside the front cover, finish that first phrase for me. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. All right, what product was that trying to sell back in the 80s? Anybody remember? What particular shampoo? Head and Shoulders dandruff shampoo. Okay, so you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So if you have dandruff, you better start using Head and Shoulders, because if somebody sees that, your first impression shot is done. Okay, so we're not dandruff here, but we can sometimes act like it in how we treat people. So we want to get rid of it, because we never get that second chance to make that first impression. So if you look at that first paragraph, it says that studies show that people decide whether they'll return to a church in the first 10 minutes or less of their visit. That includes from the moment they drive into the location. So within 10 minutes, people have made their judgment as to whether or not they will return. So can you see how important the first impression is? So that means outside, exterior, we've got to make improvements. Inside, we've got to make improvements. We want this to be truly a welcoming church. And we'll talk more about what that's all about. So second paragraph, we're working to build a culture where distractions from the gospel are lessened and hopefully totally removed. That's what we're striving for. So when people come in here, we can't assume that they understand any bit of the church routine. We don't know if they've ever set foot in a church before. So we have to act as if they don't know anything about this place, first of all, and anything about what we're doing here. I mean, we have all, and looking around, I mean, I would say all of us, or almost all of us, have been in the church all of our lives. So we know the routine. And guess what? We don't want to stay routine. We have to step out of that mindset and realize that we need to look at this through different eyes. We need to look at, and I hate to call it the church experience, but that's what I'll use to kind of name it an all-encompassing thing. So for the church experience, we have to look at it through the eyes of someone who's never been here before. So right now, I just want you to think about that. Bless you. Just want you to think about walking in these doors as someone who has never set foot in a church before. And picture yourself walking past certain people, walking past yourself, more importantly, and think about what your picture would be. What would be your first impression? And I'm not asking anybody to share it out loud, but I want you to think about it. I mean, I'm picturing some really good positives, but I'm picturing a lot of holes, a lot of missing pieces. Okay, that's where we are. We have a lot of missing pieces. And we can't take that kind of thing personally. It's because, you know what, we've never been taught, right? As a church, we've never learned this stuff. We've never taken the time to make it a priority. But it's time to make it a priority. One of the reasons I'm making it a priority now is because of what's happening across the street. We are going to have an opportunity for a lot of people moving in right across the street, right on our doorstep. And we want to be very proactive in that process. So we are going to be working toward that. I have no idea when that's going to open, but that is part of our thought process. In the meantime, there are still people coming through our doors that have never been here before. There have been probably 10 to a dozen in the last 2 weeks. So we have to pay attention. We have to see what's happening. So what this guide is going to help us do is to understand the functional process. But I want you to know the functional process we may go blank on. We might totally, oh no, what am I supposed to do? Okay, if the functional process goes blank, we can still engage people. We can still be kind. We can still be friendly. We can still help provide directions. We can still make them feel comfortable, make them feel safe. So when you serve as a mover, and if we talk about our concept of movers, that's our volunteer name, it means that you're helping to move people from fear and unfamiliarity. So think about yourself walking through these doors for the first time. There may be fear there, but there would definitely be unfamiliarity. We want to move them from that into trust and fellowship. That's what we're aiming to do. Carry them to that spot. As a mover, we're helping to move them to do that. And in that process, we're removing some of the major barriers to them hearing the gospel. I mean, the gospel is always God's work to save them. But they need to hear it. So we're trying to remove every obstacle we can remove so that people can hear the gospel. So what we try to do, or what we will try to do, is connect all those missing pieces. Connect the dots through various roles that we have here. So if you flip to the next page, you see our Bright Hope mission. So our Bright Hope mission is to introduce people to Jesus Christ and to assist believers in becoming passionate followers of him. So we should have a familiarity with that statement. Our vision is, what do we want to see happen? We want to see people find hope and life in Jesus. Now, how about this team, our First Impressions mission? To be aware and responsive to the needs of guests and remove obstacles that stand between them and the gospel. And to do that, we will create an environment where guests feel welcomed and connected. So that's where we are putting our focus. So if you go to the next page then, movers and values. I just want to jump down to the values real quickly. First value, guest awareness and response. I mean, it's easy to stand around with people you know and people you love, and it's easy to stand there and talk. And it's easy to engage. It's easy to just be in that comfortable setting, what some people nickname as holy huddles. You know, you huddle up with people you love and all is good. But there's an awareness we have to have. We have to look, as I said earlier, through the eyes of a guest. We have to look through their eyes. So our perception often is not their reality. we might think in our minds that, oh, yeah, this would be a very comfortable place to visit. I walked through it in my mind, and I said, you know what? Not so much. Because, okay, we don't have any directional signs, which that's going to be part of what we talk about. We haven't had anybody officially greeting at the doorway. We're working on our welcome center back here. We're putting pieces into place so that we can do these things. I mean, people walk in, they'd have no idea where to go for kids ministries. They'd have no idea where to go and check in their kids. They'd have no idea if their kids would be safe. So that's part of our process. Them and telling them what we do in our kids ministries and what we prioritize in our kids ministries. So guest awareness and response to it. Personal interaction. And that pretty much speaks for itself. And then remove obstacles. So that statement, we want to set our guests' minds at ease and lessen the anxiety that comes with being in an unfamiliar place. We realize not everybody knows that church routine. So we desire for them to come face to face with God's love and the gospel message without any hindrance. So those are the things I want us to think about, how we value them. The next page, we're just going to bypass that for now, because I want to get into some of the specific roles. And some of these we'll have to do some further trainings, and we'll eventually do a sign up and say, what would you be interested in? Out of these categories, I mean, ideally, in my mind, I think it would be awesome if everybody was willing to tackle each responsibility at a different time, and then kind of settle into one or two of them. So try them so that you know what's going on in other places. So that you can say, oh yeah, so-and-so's down here, this is what they'll help you do. And you have the familiarity with what everyone else is doing in that particular role. So I think that would be, even temporarily, or even kind of shadow somebody that's assigned to that role. Say, hey, can I hang out with you today and just see what you do here? I think that would be great. And we have some very engaging teenagers, and I would love to see them involved. I would love to see everybody involved in this type of ministry. So first of all, our welcome center. This is the hub. I mean, that welcome center desk back there is going to be the central point. And it's nice and easy. It's simple. We've got a small entrance, so it's going to be very visible, and it will be the place where questions are answered and where directions are given and where people are told what to do with their kids, where people are told, hey, here's a connection card. We'd love for you to fill this out. Bring it back to me after the service, and we'll give you a free gift. Okay, that's going to be one of our strategies to start collecting info, because what I've seen as a whole is that people come, they might share their name with somebody, but we don't have any way to get in touch with them. It's going to be important for us to get that kind of info. So get that kind of info, get in touch with people. So that post, I think, is easily manageable with one person, but there might be days, there might be times, and as we grow, we will need to expand that. But it's okay to have two back there. Like if a husband and wife want to do it, or a couple teenagers want to work that spot together, awesome. Or a parent-child, that's an awesome thing too, whatever. So greet with a smile and welcome them into our house. Have an awareness of the ministries. So this is going to require a little bit of studying. I mean, simply, one of the simple things you can do is go downstairs, look at the signs on the doors. So you know where those classrooms are, you know what their ages are, you know what they're called. I mean, that's something that you can, we will have a cheat sheet in the Welcome Center for all that stuff, so that you don't have to memorize things, and so that you can just say, oh, let me check on that. And you don't have to have all the answers. Okay, I don't want to scare anybody away from this. But you are somebody who will find the answer if you don't know it. So that's part of the Welcome Center. You want to give them directions and take them there if they need you to. That's not going to be your key responsibility, because there should be other people that are in the vicinity that can say, you know what, okay, hey, Justin, can you walk them downstairs? And then Justin will take them. And then there's a handoff. And then Justin will do another handoff downstairs. So it's them making connections with multiple people. Do you see there's a strategy to that? It's not just saying, oh, well, I met one person. No, hey, let's bombard them. See how good they are at remembering names. I'm horrible at remembering names. There was a couple here last week. I remember their names. Now I forget them. Paul and Dale. I'm sorry, Dale and Shannon. I knew it was one of your names. Dale and Shannon. Dale and Shannon. So Dale and Shannon were here last week. So answer their questions we already talked about. If they haven't gotten one yet, if they haven't gotten one from a greeter, then you can give them a connection card, give them a bulletin, and make sure they get a pen. I'll be ordering pens with our church info on them so that people have that kind of info that they can reach out in that way. And then listen well, be a good listener. And ask them questions too. I mean, just, hey, where are you from? Did you come here because you know somebody? Or how did you hear about us? You know, just that kind of information, and then kind of informally collect that in your mind and say, you know what, they were on the website, and they saw this and this, so we've got to make sure there aren't any holes on our website. So actually, our first impression spot is our website in general, and that's something, for the most part, I've researched like what checkpoints should be on a church website. For the most part, our website has the information that it needs. There's a couple things lacking that we'll have to work on. And do you have a question? Yes. Yeah, and that will be after the service. So it's an incentive for them to bring a connection card back to us to give us info. So, well, we'll pull some of those pens out then, and we're going to order some with the new logo and that stuff on it too. So do those have church info on them? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna be getting some other informational material as well that summarizes our ministries and so they will have a lot of access to those items, and we'll just insert those in the gift bag. Ron, you see anything there? Okay. All right. That's good. That works. All right, any other questions about Welcome Center? I mean, this is one that I already have an expanded description laid out. I just need to put it together in a more detailed way, or a more clear way, I guess I should say. All right, then we move to greeter team. Most of the time, the greeters are the very first interaction people have, and we'll give the exception to that in a minute. So your job is to make that interaction positive. Welcome them in. If you are a door greeter, then ideally, and right now it's kind of tough because of our spacing, but ideally it'd be great for you to be outside and actually open the door for them. That would be ideal, rather than them having to open the door and come into you. You are welcoming them into this house. I mean, it sounds simple. It sounds like, well, why would that even matter? I mean, think, when somebody opens a door for you, it is a meaningful gesture, even though it's simple. So something like that, that's a great tool to utilize. Now, we may see that, okay, we need a door greeter, but we also need someone right inside the double doors to greet as well or provide direction. But the ideal thing is that our door greeters can send people right to the Welcome Center. They can say, hey, we're so glad you're here today. If you have questions, you've never been here before, we invite you to go to our Welcome Center and get some information there and find out how you can get a gift from us. I mean, just something like that. Just simple communication and engagement. Point them to the coat racks. I mean, they're easy to see where they are right now. And then to the Welcome Center. If someone needs accessible entrance, then grab an usher. And this is where our ushers are going to have to be a little bit more kind of in tune with the goings on before service. So our ushers will, and I know Scott has asked for more ushers, and that's part of what we're going to try to recruit in this mix, is get more ushers, because it's just, you have one person or two people missing, it's, oh no, where is everybody? So, so the ushers can help and assist in ways like that. The greeter can hand out bulletins at the door, connection cards at the lobby. I mean, these are just, that whole logistical process is just something we'll have to figure out what's the best way once we start to piece everything together. All right, flip on to the next one. Our check-in system, we are going to revamp our check-in system. It's going to be a different system because the one we have currently is not, oh, Matt, what's the word? Yeah, right. We're on a standalone version right now. There are no updates. There's no support, so nothing we can do with it. So we've got to get our info transferred to a new system. I've been little by little working on a system, but I just don't know that it's the best one. So that's still kind of in process. But the way I'm seeing this is that we have a check-in person that's up here, that is in the lobby somewhere, maybe right near the Welcome Center. And if someone brings their kids, they say, oh, great, have you registered your kids yet? And that's one of the holes in our website, I think, that we can put a registration form on our website so parents can register kids, and then they'll automatically go into our system. So that's one of the softwares that I'm trying to see if I can get that to work. So that would be one thing that would be profitable for us. So we want those people to then be directed to the check-in person who will have a laptop or a tablet or something that they can actually enter their data, or walk them downstairs and enter their data, either down there or up here, doesn't matter, and engage them during that time. Get their information, get their kids registered, and then automatically you collect some parent info. So it's a win-win in that context. So where did I leave off here? Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
Well, we have access from downstairs to come into church.
Yeah, when we have our project finished outside, I mean, I'm sure that lower level door will be utilized more. So those are pieces we'll have to think about and then put into practice. But yeah, limiting the traffic in the lower level, is going to be important. So the idea is, people are looking right off the bat for two things. They're looking for safety, and they're looking for cleanliness. Those two things are high priority in like post-visit surveys. Tom Rayner is one of the gurus of like church analysis, and he conducts constantly interviews all around the country with different people. He hangs out at a couple churches in an area, and then he'll get information to talk to people afterwards if they're a first-time guest or if they're a second-time guest, and he will talk with them and gather data. And those continually are two things at the top: security and cleanliness. So, we'll talk about the cleanliness of that in a little bit. And security, we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So you can see the other things there, priority-wise for check-in. And this is something where it'll have to be somebody who's a little bit tech-savvy, or at least can navigate tech, not to troubleshoot or anything, but just be able to quickly get things in a system. Teenagers are great at that, so little hint, hint. Let's see, usher team. So the ushers, in addition to receiving the offering, ushers should have that kind of general awareness. Just kind of, you're kind of like the assistants in waiting for all the other roles. So you're just kind of looking to see, okay, if person A has to leave the welcome center to walk somebody to show them where something is, then an usher could say, all right, I'll step in here real quickly until they get back. That way it's manned. So if you're assigned on a team that day, just be looking for that kind of rotation. And ideally, what the welcome center attendant should do is they say, hey, I need to walk them down. Can you man this for a little bit? I'll be right back. Just simple communication that way. So where did I leave off there? Okay, to assist guests and other members of the team. Be available in the lobby area. Help people to feel welcomed. Help them to find a seat if they need it. If overflow chairs are needed, I mean, right now we have some chairs kept in the back. We're not keeping them there, but there may be times, like at our Christmas service, we needed the overflow. So we just need people ready to roll with that. We already talked about assisting the team in walking guests to the unknown area. I mean, that's another option. Like the welcome center attendant could say, hey, could you walk them down here? Instead of them walking them down. But if they've already made a great connection, that's what I want. Like if you've already made a great connection with the person, you say, hey, let me walk you there. And then somebody else can take your place. Or if the connection isn't quite there, and you think, for whatever reason, you think Sam might connect with them better, then say, hey, Sam, would you walk them down? And I mean, that's really a long shot, but yeah, emergency. All right, now one of the biggest keys is follow-up. And I will follow up in the first couple days after their visit, if we have info for them. I will follow up either with a phone call, email, text, whatever they kind of have felt comfortable to give information for. So this obviously requires us to collect that contact info. So I'll follow up, but ideally, if you've made a connection with them, it'd be awesome if you could follow up too. That way, hey, they'll remember your name, hopefully. And you'll say, hey, I met you at the Welcome Center, and I just wanted to drop a note and say it was awesome to meet you. I'd love to see you back sometime. If there's any questions I can answer, please let me know. It's just something, it's not a long engagement, it's just simple, quick. Security. Obviously, making this place a safe and secure environment is one of those top 2 criteria. Monitor the entries, make sure that things are safe there, lock all the entrances after the service begins, but along with the greeters, along with the ushers, I should have put that as well, be aware of late arrivals. I mean, just don't be hanging out kind of oblivious to what's going on, just have an awareness of, oh man, there's somebody waiting at the door. And they're obviously not going to knock. They're going to pull the door once, it's locked, they're gone. Wouldn't you? I would. If a church has their door locked, that means they don't want me there. That's the impression I would get. So ideally, security-wise, I would prefer we wait until like 11 o'clock to lock the doors. I know sometimes that's what we do. I don't know what the protocol is. And so whatever, I think like 11 o'clock would be awesome. Of course, then Corey and Sheree would never get in. So sorry if you're listening, Corey and Sheree. Can we delete that? No. Oh, yeah, this one, just run periodic tests of security cameras and refer to security manual for other things. Parking team. This is something we don't have in place, and you might think, well, why in the world do we need parking direction? I mean, have you seen the parking lot down here? Does anybody really know how to park down here? No, nobody knows how to park. Nobody. No. It's like, yeah. Yeah, it's just, okay, you follow the pattern that somebody else has established. Now, what we would need to do is have people to look at that and say, all right, what would be the best layout for our parking? And what we have to do, have this kind of mentality, and I used to do it, and I haven't done it since they've kind of been working on construction, park elsewhere. I mean, give guests priority parking. No, I don't want it to be like all of us are parked over there and at the alley and our lot's empty. I mean, obviously we don't want that. I mean, I'm not saying we have to park over there. But just if you know it's an event especially that we're going to have extra people here, then we want to prioritize our guests. And we have one guest parking spot out here. I think it would be good for us to label a couple more for guests, because just letting them know that we are prioritizing them. We want them to have a place, specific and central to the entrance, easy to get to. So the parking team, it says this may not seem like a current need, but it is an area that we will seek to expand because we want to be prepared for growth. That's what we want. God grows his church. And if we are preaching the gospel, that's one way to grow the church. Get people saved. We want people saved. And if that happens, there will be growth. So we've got to anticipate that. So parking team, be friendly to people. Don't put your head down when they drive past. Actually look at them and wave. We need to get some parking signs once we figure things out. Monitor, especially that gravel lot, to direct people. I mean, that would be probably the ideal spot to begin. And then when people are walking, like crossing that street, crossing just our little driveway here, just be in tune with that and maybe stop cars to let people go. We used to have some vests. We'll get vests for parking that are nice and bright. And we do have access to overflow. Across at Meridian Station, we still have access to that lot, and we have access to the alley. So we can use those places to park as well if we get filled up. All right. And there are some things that I didn't specifically address in here, like hospitality would be a good fit in here. We talked about cleanliness a little bit, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. There was one other area I thought of child protection. I mean, to me, that falls under security. And so it falls into our security / children's ministries. So that falls into the first impressions as well. So go to the last page that has info on it. These thoughts. Obviously, it's a work in progress. I mean, this is something this document is going to have to morph as we figure things out. I mean, as we try something and it doesn't work. I mean, I don't have the answers to all this. This is months, really years of research, just trying to figure out what we need to do to make things better, and finally saying, you know what, I just got to put it together. It's got to become a priority. And so this is a work in progress. And we will make mistakes. We will miss guests. There are people that are going to walk through that we aren't even going to recognize, they haven't been here. And that's sometimes my dilemma. I see somebody and have they been here for 3 weeks and I have never met them before, or is this their first time here? And then I feel awkward going up to them. So there are tools. There are ways to approach that kind of situation. You can simply say, hey, how long have you been coming here to Bright Hope? Something like that. And if they say, oh, this is my first time, you say, oh, okay, I must have seen somebody that looked similar to you, because, okay, that's not a lie, because that's what's happened to me many times. Like, I just get people confused. And if you're like me, when I meet them, get their name, I have to go type it in my phone right away or write it down somewhere. Because I have to, that's the only way I can remember names. I really have to work on that. That's a big weakness. Commitment. Obviously, we have to show commitment to this team. It's not easy. This is not going to be an easy change for us. It's not going to be simple. It's not just going to say, all right, next week, we're on. Let's do it. No, it's going to take some time. It's going to take like just building it little by little until all the pieces fit into place and work as a unified system. And time commitment, I don't know how that's going to look. I mean, obviously, we don't want to overbook people, but we also want to say that this, our first impressions on people are one of the most important things we do functionally as a church. How do people perceive the people of Bright Hope and how we want them here? Do we want them here or do we not? That's what they're trying to figure out. So we want to make it known that we want you here. We want to be a welcoming church, and I ordered several copies of this that were supposed to be in yesterday. They didn't come in. They're supposed to be in, according to Amazon, by 9 o'clock tonight. So I wanted to actually ask some questions and award this book to some people.